Out of nowhere, after many years, rail shooting is back with a vengeance. Typing of the Dead Overkill is best summed up as a pleasant surprise, as it promises both constant action and an actual story. Typing of the Dead Overkill is actually two games: the House of the Dead Overkill Extended Cut, which includes all content and offers the highest quality graphics, and Typing of the Dead Overkill, a reworked version in which typing words stand in for firing bullets as the means to take out the many zombies.
Mutants? How many times do I have to tell you not to use
mutants in your way. Both versions feature the same story, encounters, and cutscenes, but the mechanical differences do make for two distinct experiences. The story is as follows. The mysterious Agent G and his fast-talking partner Isaac Washington track down a madman in control of a formula that turns people into super strong, yet super stupid monsters, and it's up to them to limit the concoction's release before it's too late. What ensues is a truckload of immature humor, insane scenarios, and an onslaught of pure action. But not only is the story incredibly funny, it's also surprisingly coherent. The game justifies every single moment of itself one way or another, and it adds up to a satisfying narrative that's all the better for not taking itself too seriously. House of the Dead Overkill is an on-rails shooter. Movement is scripted rather than real-time, allowing you to focus on shooting. This genre flourished back when arcades were still relevant, as it was the only one that could provide both advanced graphics and intense do-or-die shooting action. But as time went on, better hardware and an increased interest in length made the genre irrelevant, as better technology allowed movement to be real-time rather than scripted. House of the Dead does have an arcade-like scoring system and a health bar, but they work differently than they would in a typical rail shooter. The game will still occasionally spin you to your doom, but death doesn't mean having to start over. Instead, your score is simply halved, but you can keep going and complete the mission. However, a high score is desirable as you earn more money at the end of a level, which can be used to purchase upgrades and new weapons. There are plenty of guns, and each can be upgraded for better damage, less recoil, and more ammo. Upgrading every attribute of your weapon once will result in a silver weapon, while upgrading them twice will result in a golden weapon. You can also carry two weapons at once and change your loadout before every level, letting you get a feel for everything. Whereas most on-rail shooters give you one weapon, the many weapons available to you here makes for a surprisingly diverse experience given the limitations of the genre. Typing of the Dead replaces accurate firing with accurate typing, but it ditches the upgrade system and doesn't really add anything new to compensate. What's worse is that you can't switch between text boxes, which means that either you have to type an enemy to death or lose your progress, and the fact that one enemy can have an interjection while the other has a dozen-letter long word makes encounters frustratingly unpredictable. You almost can't tell that this is a game made for the original Wii, as Typing of the Dead Overkill looks quite good, even if it isn't particularly impressive by today's standards. The artifacting and washed out colors in the cutscenes do a fantastic job of paying homage to 70s cinema and TV and show a clear love for the source material. Sound is simply flawless. Yes, swearing can be gratuitous, but other than that, the intentionally bad delivery combined with the wonderfully self-aware dialogue and the fantastic soundtrack makes this game a pleasure for the senses. If there's one thing that brings Typing of the Dead Overkill down, it's the modest length. A normal playthrough will only last 4 hours, but unlocking further upgrades to help you chase leaderboards does provide replay value if you're willing to master the game. Even if you're in just for the story, it's worth the plunge, but you're not really playing it at its fullest if you don't replay at least one level for a better score. Typing of the Dead Overkill is a 2-pack of absolute fun. Sure, the typing bit is a bit underwhelming, but since you're getting 2 games for the price of one of which is probably the greatest rail shooter ever made, it's well worth the asking price. Both challenging and coherent, Typing of the Dead Overkill is a must-buy if you like shooting or a good, funny story.